actors of the changes by proposing concrete solutions to improve the situation around their school or in the city. Safety and Mobility for All is an international program led within the framework of the Decade of Action for Road Safety launched by the United Nations. It's spread in about 15 countries each year, and after more than 13 years of existence, over 14 million pupils worldwide have been trained. Can you start the video, please?
Sécurité et mobilité pour tous est un programme d'éducation et de formation à la sécurité routière et à la mobilité durable. C'est un programme qui s'adresse aux enfants jusqu'à, pour certaines parties, 8 ans, d'autres parties 11-12 ans, et puis aussi aux adolescents.
Ça sauvegarde un peu notre planète, on aide les générations futures.
La sécurité, pour moi, ça veut dire plus d'accidents, que tout le monde soit vigilant.
On va attirer leur attention sur les bons gestes, sur les bonnes pratiques à mettre en place en sécurité routière pour préserver leur santé et préserver la santé des autres, et bien entendu aussi sur les bons choix à faire sur le plan de leur mobilité.
J'utilise pas mal le vélo, ça m'a beaucoup appris sur le vélo. Il va y avoir des voitures écologiques qui font pas de bruit, donc il faudra être beaucoup plus vigilant.
Road is not a place for adventure. If you do adventure on road, you would venture into trouble.
Konkurs, Twój pomysł, Twoja inicjatywa to przedsięwzięcie, które na pewno przyczynia się do poprawy bezpieczeństwa na polskich drogach. Po pierwsze edukujemy dzieci, a edukując dzieci edukujemy także dorosłych, a tego nam naprawdę dzisiaj bardzo brakuje.
Ce programme Sécurité et Mobilité pour tous est un programme qui est systématiquement mis en place dans les pays avec l'éducation nationale. C'est-à-dire que ceci repose sur l'implication directe des éducateurs, des instituteurs, des professeurs qui ont fait ce choix de développer ces aspects de sécurité routière et de mobilité durable dans le cadre de leur enseignement.
Thank you very much for that. Axel, did you also have a video to show it?
Yes, yes, I also have a video. So it's a hidden camera that we did. It's called Impossible Texting and Driving, and we didn't expect this, but we made the buzz on the internet, so we almost reached 2 million views. And it was brainstormed by youngsters. So just saying we were working on distraction and driving, and of course they came up to the fact that youngsters sent something like 200 SMS, so texting messages per day, which is huge, and they keep on doing that while driving. So we thought about telling them that, yeah, now we have to pass the driving license test with the exercise of trying to send a texting message. So it's in the video. Please enjoy.
Can we play that?
Il y a une note ministérielle qui vient de tomber, je ne sais pas si tu es au courant, il y a toutes les mesures au niveau sécurité routière qui vont être prises. On va au contraire obliger les gens à savoir utiliser un GSM en conduisant. Dans le périmètre maintenant, on va devoir passer à un TGSM. Tu dois pouvoir envoyer un SMS et éviter un obstacle, et passer à côté. C'est pas moi qui l'ai inventé, tu peux regarder ici, voilà.
Il y en a beaucoup qui vont se cracher avec ça.
Voilà, ton GSM, je vais chercher des frites. Regarde tout ce qu'on s'en va. Oh là là, nous entrerons en retard ce soir. Et attention que je corrige les fautes après. Regarde comment on écrit mon nom. Oh là.
Oh, c'est impossible.
Ah, je suis de retour ce soir. Oh, regarde ça. Ah ouais, là là ça devenait, hein. Bon, imagine ça c'était un enfant. On va, vas-y. 400, 43.
Honnêtement, j'ai l'impression d'être un connard qui sait pas du tout compris.
Voilà. Tu n'auras pas compris bien comme ça.
À cause de ça,
Ouais.
bah, c'est dangereux ce que vous faites.
Si la loi passe, je roule plus.
Non. Tu tournes, oui, mais... Regarde la route.
Non, mais j'arrive pas.
Il va y avoir des tués.
Regarde.
Il y a vraiment sur les routes.
Je sais pas conduire, attraper mon GSM. Moi, je sais pas faire les deux, quoi.
C'est trop dangereux.
All right, thank you very much. That was a very good way to end this part. I would first like to ask the panelists if they have any comments or questions to the keynote speaker, but also to the first panel. No? I guess I'll just open it up to the floor. We've been doing a lot of talking here, but maybe there's some people here in the room that also want to say something or ask questions. No? Okay. Well, I have a bunch of questions. I think we saw a good example of campaigning, right? We had two different examples of how this can be done. So also we were talking earlier about how big the impact on young male drivers is. Do you know of any campaigns, or have you worked specifically on this target group to really address male young drivers to drive safely?
As I said, it's as it's not said as a typical focus on a typical issue of road safety. It's very difficult to find sponsors about it, so to create the campaign. But we did in Valentine's Day. We try all the time to involve to involve women as well, to protect their husband and to put the message across. That is difficult, but it's a very difficult topic to broach.
And isn't it bad that you use your girlfriend to tell you should drive safely? You know, you're putting me in danger.
Well, actually, in nightclubs, we try to go before when people arrive, because once the males are drunk, they don't listen to their girlfriend anymore usually. So we try to convince them beforewards. But now that's true that males have difficulties, but to receive that. But what we try to change, we change the mentality and say that it's not women who are dangerous at the wheel anymore, as we used to say women at the wheel. But we have to change and say men at the wheel. So, and trying to change the mentality in this way.
Right. Thank you very much. Fleur, how about you? Do you have something to say to that?
Especially targeted for
male drivers.
For males. You know, it's males are difficult to reach. we do things, and then later we regret it, and then we will never admit it that we regret it. So it's difficult to reach, and it's a tough nut to crack. I mean, there is no one way, and I mean, for example, in campaigning, and I think Neil also said that, like, you know, do you want to use, for example, the hard-hitting campaigns, so that will scare them off, or will you use humor, like Axel's approach often is with responsible drivers, like with the texting? I mean, how do you really reach young males? I mean, there is not one success formula for it, I'm afraid. But we need to be innovative and creative, and we should never give up to reach out to them. But you know, the young males will like to test their boundaries. They will like to overestimate their skills. They do like to show off, to impress the ladies. I mean, you know, we're not going to change that. So we need to make sure that we what we can do is make sure that we inform them, so they can make an informed decision. So they are aware of the risks that they have, that they know exactly what they should do, and you know, and then of course the roads need to be safe, the vehicles need. I mean, the system needs to be in place basically to protect also the young males. So yeah, is that a kind of an answer?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. All right.
Sorry, may I notice that there is no woman on the panel?
Yes, you may.
Excellent,
There
Christina.
are only men. There are 8 men.
Indeed, we had Luana, just the keynote speaker, that broke the ice. But indeed, I
Luckily,
take your
we have a
point.
lady to keep us in control,
It's
Christina.
something that you should take into consideration.
Indeed. Well, this is still an issue in Europe that needs to be solved, and that's why there are many policymakers also trying to do that, to put more women in front. Indeed.
Exactly.
Well, they're trying to have them make their men more responsible. So, women are always useful. Good to have around. I would say. Philip, you showed us a video with young children, and also Neil was talking earlier about the fact that you need to start very early, because if you start when they're teenagers, it's already too late. At what age or about when do you think, and also it's for you too, that we should start educating children on road safety and how to drive safe, but also how to cross the street safely, how to ride their bike safely, and all those things?
At any age, you are exposed to road safety problems. You are exposed as pedestrian, as when you ride your bicycle, when you practice roller skating, so on and so on. And even when you are young. So for me, the answer is very simple: as soon as possible. This is why we work with primary schools, and we spread our education tools for very, very young children.
What do you think, Axel?
Yes, I would like to add that within the new European Road Safety Charter, they decided to separate youngsters in 4 categories of age, basically, because they say it's not the same to reach youngsters at those different ages. So basically they made 0, 12, 12, 15, 15, 18, and 18, 30, 35. So, as I was explaining in the beginning, so just to say the peer-to-peer communication is 18-30, then 15-18, they need more a role model who is coaching them. Between 12 and 15, they will already start thinking about two-wheelers, because it's at 15-18 that you really start driving these two-wheelers. And then before 12, there's also, but it's more pedagogical, then you need real skills to be able to reach those children, and educators, teachers, etc. So for the 0-12, because it's very important to learn as soon as possible, of course.
No, very good. Actually, I was just thinking, I was wondering, Carmen, when we look at the road safety world as it is right now, we have a safe systems approach, right? We know that we need to have safe roads, we have safe vehicles, we need safe road users. I'm just wondering, maybe my fellow panelists can help me out here, where does exactly the young people fit in? What can we do? I mean, why is it that every time when I go at any conference or any government, and youth are apparently never structurally built in the strategies to prevent road traffic injuries. It never is. Where does young people fit in this safe system approach? So that's basically my question.
Do you want to direct it to someone specifically?
Maybe an expert in the room or my fellow panelists.
Anyone in the panel would like to take that challenge?
Christina, you have ideas about that?
What is again the question?
My question is, where do young people exactly fit in the strategy to prevent road traffic injuries? Because we have the safe system approach, and everybody knows exactly we need legislation, we need enforcement, we need safe roads, we need safe vehicles, we need all these kind of things in place. But what can young people do? What can we do? What can the young people in the room do? What is exactly they do? Maybe, yeah.
I have an idea.
Just
so
we're getting just a minute. We're getting you a mic.
Maybe I can.
Yes, and can you also introduce yourself?
Yes, I'm Oxistak from ENWP, the Netherlands. We also work on the roadside assistance, and we also we try to make Dutch roads safer by doing advocacy work, but also we have our own programs to make children and adults both drive safer. And I thought, like, what can you do to involve youngsters? Maybe you can, I think this is something what we are doing, is we send some teenagers to a primary school, and there we make them check their bicycle lights, for example. So teenagers are now in the role of helping the very small children, and then they are automatically thinking about safety themselves by doing something for somebody else. So you have actually two groups which you are servicing. So maybe you can do it like that. It's kind of a peer-to-peer, but then a bit different between the two age groups. So that might be something also for other countries.
Thank you very much. Does that answer more or less your question?
Yeah, I mean, peer facilitators, that's exactly one of the ways.
Yes.
Can we get the mic here? Can you also please introduce yourself? Thank you.
Yes, I'm Cristina Marotta from Directorate General Mobility and Transport of the European Commission. I think that the role of the youngsters is really to create social norms. Is the acceptance of a different behavior, of a different social behavior of your peers. Because what was also said by you, Neil, I think, that there is this acceptance of a certain risky attitude, and that should be overcome. And there, I think, really is and it's proven that it's mainly the girls that are pushing towards that. I mean, they do not like to drive with a crazy driver any longer. That was once, it was very sexy to be the James Dean of the situation. Today it's no longer accepted. So there is really a changes of behavior and social norms, and I think that you are really the ones that can do that.
Neil?
Can I just make an interesting point? In the UK, there's been a lot of involvement of young people in the debate about graduated licensing, and they are a group who are fundamentally against it. They don't want to give up nighttime driving, they don't want to have restrictions on passengers, and there are two groups. There's a Scottish Youth Parliament and a Youth Parliament in Westminster, and they have actually said they will invoke the EU Charter of Human Rights and the UN Charter of Human Rights. They will not stand for graduated licensing restricting their freedom. So whilst we are saying to them, we will save your life, they're saying, no, you're stopping my freedoms, which are guaranteed under EU and UN principles.
There you have it. We also have an intervention here.
Thanks. I'm Sarah Trinekens from Daimler in Germany, and in Germany we have got the system that we get the chance to pass the driving license in the age of 17, and then driving 1 year with a supervisor in form of our parents or any person who is older than, I think, 13 and has no points, so nothing which isn't conform. So in this case, maybe we have got the chance to direct children in younger ages. So you already just said that people learn better if they are younger, but that is in contradiction to the statement that if you start driving later, the accident or the rate of accidents has decreased. So maybe I can formulate this in form of a question to the first two speakers of the day, that we have got on the one hand the lack of experience, which can be just compensated with a 1 year of supervised driving, and in contrast to that, we have got the decreased age when we start driving. So maybe there are any statistic or representative data that show if there's any success already.
Luana and Neil, do you have an answer to that? And we also have one intervention here. I like the way this works. Usually the questions come from here to here, but it started like that, and things are moving, so pretty good. I think it's a new way of debating.
So, as far as I understand, the question was if we have any data on the number of accidents when the driver is accompanied, or the young driver is accompanied.
In Germany, we have got the chance to get a driving license 1 year earlier, but then you need a drives next to you or is sitting next to you when you drive, and maybe there are any data which already show if there's success that the rate of accidents has already decreased if persons has passed the system and has had the chance to collect experiences while driving 1 year of within the supervision.
We haven't collected any data on this, but we know from our members that countries which have increased the age where the driver starts, the novice starts driving, we have less accidents, less occurrences in deaths.
So that would show that the decreased or that the collection of experience compensate the decreased age, because you just said the younger you start driving, the more accidents.
No, the later you start driving, the more mature you become. So the less chance you have to go into an accident.
Okay, I see.
We also have Mr. Ramesh here, who says he has an answer to your question.
Yes, of course. As Germans, we always tend to do many studies and collect a lot of experiences. It's like, building an airport. We have, of course, accompanied this introduction of accompanied driving, and we have seen a fall in the risk of having an accident by 20% of this group in comparison to a control group which did not take this accompanied driving. So there is a clear proof that accompanied driving is a positive element in the strategy to reduce risks of younger drivers.
Right, and we have one more intervention there, and then we will need to go on to the next panel. And you can still address your question afterward.
Yeah, just a comment. Hi, my name is Julia Kremer from the European Commission Road Safety Unit. And I'm not sure whether, I think you referred to Adiatse referred already to the BAST study, so there are indeed studies on the accompanied driving. I haven't read it myself, but I heard that it was quite a success, so it is probably available in the studies. That's all, thank you.
All right, thank you very much. We've been dedicating a bit of time talking about attitudes and behaviors. Flor, do you still have something to say?
Because I just want to sum up then.
Yep.
Because the role of young people in road safety, that was my question, and I heard peer educators, peer facilitators. I heard change agents to be involved in the community, to reach out to them, and we saw an amazing example of Axel's club to be an innovator with social media, with communicators, and I think that young people are also amazing advocates. We have a genuine concern that our roads are safe all over the world. And I just want to highlight one big opportunity that we have that we cannot miss as a road safety community, which we all now are part of the road safety community. That is the post-2015 agenda that is coming up. As you know, we have the Millennium Development Goals back in 2000, and in post-2015 they're gonna reshape those 8 points. Right now, road safety is not in those Millennium Development Goals. At the post-2015, we need to make sure that road safety is part of the post-2015 agenda. If not, we're going to miss out. It kills 1.2 million people a year globally, worldwide, right? 20 to 50 million get injured. It's a global crisis. It's the biggest killer of young people worldwide. We need to make sure that it's right up there. So I want to ask all the people here in the room, ACA, you have great lobbyist power, car manufacturers, talk with governments, talk with officials, make sure that our governments, at the European Commission as well, of course, make sure that our governments make sure that they stand for road safety at the post-2015 agenda. As a sustainable transport issue or as a public health issue, I don't care, as long road safety is in there, because we need the attention, we need the money as well that is invested to protect our lives. That's what I mean.
Thank you very much, Flor, for summing up and for making this call. It's the first time I hear it, but there are many, many calls for the Sustainable Development Goals, so you will have to work a bit on that to get it on the agenda. I would like to also welcome Mr. Holger Kramer, member of the European Parliament, who has joined us now. And we've been talking a lot about attitudes of young people and how to influence those in a way that they drive safely. Now I would like to move to this part of the room and talk about driving skills and technology. Because as we heard from the beginning, there are many new things in cars that help us, but at the same time, as we saw in the video, there's a lot of technology that also distracts us from driving, or the people that drive, not me, of course. So I would just refresh your memory. We have Mr. Rob Resch from ADA. We have Mr. Robert East from Mercedes-Benz Driving Academy in the UK. And Thomas Lukashevich from Ford Europe. I would like to start with Mr. Lars Resch. Picking up from the conversation that you were having earlier, how can young drivers be encouraged in additional training? As we heard, some of them say you're taking away their freedom. So how can you encourage them to actually do additional training?
Well, first of all, I think it is not a very good way to restrict the abilities of young people who want to qualify as a member of the mobile society. And so restrictions on nighttime driving, restrictions on taking passengers are very difficult, not only if it comes to liberties, but also if it comes to collect those experiences you need to survive in a literal way in the mobile society. This is, I'm afraid, not going to work if you only work with restrictions. We have in Germany a model where we have for 2 years a ban on alcohol for young drivers, and then you have to also be very careful on the road. You cannot collect points. You get, as a sanction, you get points up to, I don't think it's 8 now. We have a reform on that. So that is clear. You cannot qualify for your full driving license if you do not oblige those responsibilities. But you can collect experience. That is important. We are not going far enough in this respect. We need to introduce more elements. We need to make young people aware why they are at risk. They are at risk because they are young. They are at risk because they are not aware of their risk-taking behaviors, and they are in a situation where they need to collect more experiences, and they still have to do this in a responsible way. And what we think is a good way to do is to introduce a second phase of learning into the schedule to pass a full driver's test. That has been done in Austria, and we are very optimistic that the new government, we are now, even at this hour, in negotiations, not we, but the government's parties, the future government's parties, are in negotiations on the traffic capital chapter in the coalition agreement, and one part of it hopefully will be that there will be an obligation for a second phase driving test, and we think that the positive effects which we see in Austria since 10 years will then also diminish the risks for young drivers in Germany.
Do you think young people will react positively to it?
Well, if everything goes well, they will not have a choice. And I myself, I'm a father of a 14-year-old boy, and I'm sometimes shocked when he is a passenger in our car, and he shows me that he has taken over the role model of his parents. And that is not a very good thing in some part, because he says, oh, go behind, past that car, you're quicker than him. And this shows that in the past, indeed, as Neil explained to us, that in the past we made some mistakes in the education process. And there must be some correction to that, because you cannot always be without emotion in driving a car. And so there must be an element in which the young person is able to reflect on the behavior, on the situation, how to react to a situation, whether to take a risk or whether not to take a risk. And that needs to be in a situation which is not like a golden cage, but it must be a situation where a risk can occur and can be mastered. So it needs to be somewhat a simulated risk. And I like very much the video we saw on the SMS obligation to pass a driver's test and also be enabled in sending an SMS. That is exactly the way as people learn, and I think this is necessary to do.
All right, thank you very much. Robert, what role do you think technology plays in education of young drivers? And since you work with the Mercedes-Benz Driving Academy in the UK, do you have any examples that you can share with us of like successful examples of what has worked?
Well, good afternoon. Just before I start and answer the question, based on some of the things I was asked at lunch, just to clarify, Mercedes-Benz Driving Academy doesn't teach racing drivers, so we are actually a driving school. Again, just to give you some context around why Mercedes-Benz has a driving school. As a brand, Daimler invests billions of euros in safety systems every year. We do have a vision of accident-free driving, but again, you look at the statistics and 95% of crashes actually doesn't involve the fault of the car. So as an organisation, we take our responsibility very seriously, and unless we try and improve and engage with youngsters through the learning process and make them understand the responsibilities of driving a car, we will never achieve our vision of accident-free driving. So hopefully that just gives a little bit of context to Driving Academy. In terms of how we use technology, of course, as an organisation, we have been at the forefront of technological innovation for a number of years. But particularly with Driving Academy, we very much recognise that we have to engage with youngsters at a level that they are familiar with. So we are very focused on delivering psychometric risk assessments, hazard perceptions, and online training, all on an online portal, because we feel that's the most appropriate mechanism. I think what we're also focused on is also removing the focus that the driving instructor is the only almost intervention mechanism we have in the learning process. And so I think finally, although the driving instructor is important, we do feel that these added elements of psychometric online, hazard perception, and indeed classroom sessions are very important. The final element, and I hope I have answered the question in a long-winded way, the other element that we recognise is very important on top of technology is also the role and the engagement of parents through the process.
Parents being aware when they drive.
Absolutely.
All right. I think there's a slight problem with the mics. Okay, that should probably work better. Thomas Lukasiewicz from Ford Europe. I came to find about this active safety issue, which as far as I understand, me not being a driver at all, or having a car or anything like that in the near future, are the things that try to prevent the driver from getting into an accident, as opposed to those that are passive, which kind of try to diminish the issues when you do get into a crash. So this active safety features, what role will they play into the future? I mean, there's a lot of media attention now to this driverless cars. What role will this play into the future, and will you really need a driver in the future to drive a car? Because we heard there's a lot of, most of the accidents happen because of human error. So how do you see this happening?
First of all, I would like to mention something which fits quite good to what we just heard from the first panel session, that we introduced more than 10 years ago already, we call it Ford Driving Skills for Life, a program in North America. More than 100,000 young drivers, exactly the group, they just received their driving license, went through this exercise and passed this exercise, and we did statistics where we could clearly see that this is a quite positive feedback on their potential behavior in the future. And what's also quite interesting, exactly your example out of this testing during driving, that means what are the potential consequences where explicitly young drivers are not really aware of. And this is one of our exercises which we are using for this training course. Coming to a question, active safety and driver assistance for us means we want to assist the driver. That means at the end of the day, according to Vienna Convention, the driver is responsible for his behavior and for the vehicle. Everything what we introduced so far will help the driver in our quite busy road conditions, which I think quite a good example is driving through Brussels this morning. So distracted with all the different situations around, and we want to assist the driver to get more comfortable and more safe through those demanding scenarios. And we clearly see this, our clearly vision is that we will assist the driver and we will keep the driver in the loop. And maybe also a good example, we already introduced it in North America, and now we are introduced this end of last year here in Europe, is a feature called My Key. My Key is a feature which, as soon as the children wants to use the vehicle of their parents, then the parents can give a certain pre-programmed key to their children, which gives or sets the vehicle in a kind of predefined condition. That means, for example, speed limit is the maximum speed is limited to a lower range, or certain assistant features you can't switch off. That means we won't assist even young people during their first experience in the vehicle.
And do you think this will gain more traction as we go along in the future?
Absolutely, of course.
Well, I do have to say that I admire drivers. I tried to drive 2 times in my life, and I could never understand how you can keep your eyes on the road, look at the signs, make sure you don't crash in the other car. So I have deep admiration for the people that drive and don't get into crashes. So whatever you can do to help me, hopefully in the future when I'll start driving, it's perfect for me. I will take any help I need. All right, so let's debate again and to get some questions. Do you have any questions to the speakers? Floor.
Well, in trainings, I think we can. And I'm not an expert in this, but I think we have 2 types of trainings, and they're both been sold under the flag of road safety. You have one is practically being a race driver. And I did a couple of these trainings, like advanced training skills, behavioral trainings, and literally my instructor said, "This is how you drift." And he was sitting next to me, and he was pulling, and he was giving me tips like, "Don't put your window all the way down, because when you're on your side, then the glass is not in your face." And I'm like, and I signed up for a road safety training. All right, there were parents with their children of 18 years old. Who said, "I want my child to be safe, so I invest in a 200 euro course." And they were learning how to drift, and they were learning how to. They also did the emergency brake test and everything. So I'm totally fine with that part. But so how is there some kind of a brand that we can develop that when it's truly a road safety training, or when it's also a bit of fun and engaging, and that's basically how you sell your training as well, of course, because you need to make it fun. So that's my. I'm not even sure if that is a question, but maybe someone can react, sorry.
There's an answer for you already, so that means someone understood it.
Well, I don't know whether this is the answer, but we have, first of all, there are several legends going around about driver trainings, and we still struggle with those legends. There is a clear scientific indication from the study of the University of Regensburg that shows that if you do a sensible driver training, like we do in teaching safe behavior, risk-averse behavior, risk-avoiding behavior, then those people who pass this training, they have a clearly reduced risk of involvement into accidents, and that is a long-term effect. So first of all, that is necessary to state, because there are still legends going around. The second point is, if I hear your questions, I'm most confident that there will be some European regulation lurking around there. So that is an interesting issue, but we don't have any strict regulation on driver's tests in the EU anyway, because I understand that the British system is very different from the Austrian-German system and so on. So maybe there should be a first step before we do the second step.
Do we have any other questions? Yes, Mr. Bonnet?
No, there is EU legislation of driver tests. And I hope it will evolve in the future in order to meet the needs, but definitely that's something that we're looking at, of course.
So there is EU legislation on tests for drivers?
Yes, absolutely, yes. Yes.
Just to make it clear. All right. Do we have any questions in the room? Yes?
I have a small question. Many times we see young people driving second-hand cars, small cars. Is there any training where you learn to drive with 4 persons in the car? Because this is so often that I hear or that I see, so the friends of my kids, they have an accident, a very severe accident, because the driver never had the opportunity to drive his car with 4 persons. And very often during the weekends, you see that youngsters sit together in one car because of transportation problems. We have heard that this afternoon, sorry. And of course, the person that takes the responsibility has not the experience to drive with 4 persons, and that's exactly what happens very often in the weekend. for the road safety, it's that there are too many people in the car for the experience of the driver. I don't know, is there any course or any training that foresee this experience?
Robert has an answer.
From a Mercedes-Benz Driving Academy perspective, we try and cover it off through the online training modules and really show learner drivers the risks and the considerations of driving with their friends. I think more demonstrably though, through our school outreach program called Road Sense, we do show very clearly, we actually do an exercise where we do put multiple people in the car and show them absolutely the risks or how they can be distracted. I think ultimately we're just trying to show these learner drivers, again, the responsibilities that come from being a driver and all of the elements they need to be aware of and need to consider and continue to consider once they have their licence. A point was raised earlier, particularly in the UK, and we're very much focused on learning to drive as quickly as possible as opposed to, or as quickly as cheaply as possible. One thing we're trying to do, albeit on a limited level, is to make people, as I say, really aware of the responsibilities, the long-term responsibilities of being a driver.
Do we have any more questions in the room? One over here. Can you also introduce yourself at the beginning? Thank you.
Yes, my name is Leonard Lech. I'm also with Daimler in Stuttgart. And one thing I found missing so far in the debate is that also goes into the direction of young people using second car or used cars. So if young people are biased towards using used cars, maybe if they can afford new cars, this sort of adds another dimension of driving less safer vehicles at a young age. And one thing we've learned is that the mentality commonly is not, let's be extra careful because my car is less safe, but the mentality is, let's be extra risk-taking to show off. So one idea as a first argument here is to make a campaign where young people could actually learn to drive an unsafe car in a regulated environment, to sort of learn the consequences, what faults can occur. This goes into your direction. And one question maybe in that sense is, I would like to, I'm keen for your insights on first of all, testing cycle. What's your perspectives on maybe 1 or 2 year testing cycles for used cars, maybe for the TÜV and that ADAC has an opinion on that, and in the UK I think it's called MOT. Sort of, because if cars are less safe, it maybe not increases the probability of having an accident, but might very well increase the probability of accidents being fatal.
All right. We have Axel, and then we have you.
Well, we don't have campaign about driving less safer cars. However, we try to give driving simulators exercises where we can focus on the difficulty. We can change the wheels are going are lower, have lower pressures, or we can deal with some kind of problems that the car would have. So this is the part that how we can tell them. Of course, all cars are not the same, and this is more in the prevention information that we can give, but we don't have any particular training on that. That's true.
As a reaction, well, first of all, experience with several people in the car. You get that with if you have a driving school in which the owner is a little bit pressed on resources. So there will be 3 young drivers in a car, 1 teacher, 1 trainer. The second point is, I don't think that the issue is in the technical quality of the car. The issue is in behavior. And we had a debate about shortening testing cycles and so on. I think this debate has been closed. I hope it's closed now. And as I said, it's not the issue. It's not the issue. We have a tendency in having different kinds of injuries due to more passive safety elements in the cars, because even the old cars are getting younger over time. So A 10-year-old car has more safety features today than it has 10 years ago. But still the issue is behavior. If we talk about young people, we need to change and influence the behavior, the risk-taking behavior, get them out of this loop of showing off and being a good guy. The day before we had a very severe accident outside of Munich with one 16-year-old girl being killed. She was not belted in the car, she was thrown out of the car, and her two mates who were driving, one was driving without a license, 19-year-old, and the other one had a license, and it was believed they wanted to show the 16-year-old casualty, the 16-year-old girl, which is dead now, they wanted to show how to drive a car. And that is very tragic, and it shows that although it was a relatively new car, the accident could have been prevented by different behavior, not by different safety features. You need to use the safety features, of course, and you need to change the behavior.
All right. Robert, did you have anything to add to this? Then we have Mr. Kramer who would like to pick up on it.
Just to follow this debate since 20 minutes, sorry for being a little bit late here. If you're talking about driving behavior, for me as a member of the European Parliament, this is a question when and where jumps the regulator into this discussion. If I follow this debate, it's for me is a little bit the conclusion to change the driving behavior or to train, to bringing people into a risk awareness if they participate in a day in traffic. From my point of view, it is a training and education issue, not too much a regulation and restriction issue. So this is a little bit to have a small conclusion of that what I heard now. From my point of view, it's not the time to say that the European Union has to pick up any regulation idea in personal driving behaviors. Yeah. I have one point that I didn't hear. May you discussed it before I came in. Just in Germany, if I look to the numbers, we sell more bicycles than cars since years, and not just looked from a political point of view, just from an individual traffic participant point of view. It seems to me they have more and more participants in the traffic every day. They don't have any license and they don't have any kind of knowledge about the traffic rules and the question what kind of rules they have to fulfill. I see every day if I come at home, also here in Brussels, but also in my hometown, where drivers of bicycles don't have a light on. Yeah. And they don't have any knowledge about the question, who can, if I come to a crossroad, who can come first? It is not time to discuss the question that everybody, maybe not pedestrians, but everybody who drives any mobile, whatever it is, should have fundamental skills and fundamental knowledge of traffic rules. I don't know, is that an issue or not? So from my point of view, we should take into account the debate that more and more accidents we have will also are also sourced by people. They are participants in traffic, but they don't have any license.
Does anyone want to react to the idea that we will need driving licenses for bikes or mopeds? Then you get an uproar of getting young people's mobility away. Axel?
So I just wanted to add that usually when we do prevention, we try to do it case by case. So when we do face-to-face communication, it's better to be able to adapt. Now what we notice too is that youngsters don't really say, okay, because I have a nice car, I will overspeed on the highway. That's not true. It depends on the person itself. The more they will have a beautiful car, the less they will want to break it and to crash it on the road. So it's also a kind of way we can go. So we really need to adapt. Now what's very important is enforcement. Now as long as enforcement, like we can see in France, the speed cameras has been using a huge influence on diminishing the crashes and the infractions. So we believe that enforcement is quite good now. We would more go to a nice enforcement, let's say like a coaching enforcement, rather than an aggressive enforcement. Now it's up to the member states, of course, all the time.
Radford?
Yes, thank you. We as ADAC, we consider ourselves one of the, well, the biggest bicycle club in Germany, because we have around about 18 million members, and most of them have a bike in their cellar, and they tend to use it more and more often. But we also do a lot of training programs for young people. We start even before children are born with the training for parents, how to secure, how to make it safe, a safe journey for the child to be born. We continue this with a lot of programs. One